Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to League of Europe. We are here tonight for F1 22. It is Season 9, Division 1, Round 4 of the Championship, as we take in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix from, of course, the Yas Marina circuit. My name is James Heard. I'm going to be taking you to the stream, of course, as always, on a Saturday night. No Mark alongside me tonight, but we do have the current leader of the Division 2 Championship, the driver's title, that is Mr. Ariel Felipe. Felipe, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'd argue an upgrade on Mark, a younger, better-looking, smarter version of Mark for this week.
I can't agree more with that, to be honest. But yeah, no offense to Mark. I think Mark is away, if I'm not mistaken. He might be in, is it London?
He's playing poker, he said.
He's doing poker. Oh god.
I think he's in a poker tournament. I think that's what he said. He's doing a poker tournament tonight.
He's doing a poker tournament, so I like to see that people do like to prioritise poker over commentary, but it's always good to have a life at the end of the day, and obviously Mark is going to be back, I am sure, next week. Looking through the standings, we are getting straight in towards qualifying, as you can tell. Short qualifying, of course, 29 laps, of course, out on track as well here in Abu Dhabi. Selly out on top from Campbell in second, Alp there in third as the current standings. 60 points for Selly, 48 for Campbell, 45 for Alp. Jensen in fourth and 44. He had wretched luck. He actually had a good race at WR last night, but he's had wretched luck all week. So he's there in fourth. Izzet there in fifth on 33. Yildirim in sixth on 27. Nathan in seventh on 23. Pease in eighth on 22. Then Rick in ninth on 15. And Rocco in 10th on 13 points, with Gary Wouter, J. Verstappen, Darry top 15, Slash Packer, Killer, Matthias, who've scored points as well so far this season here in Division 1. And Japan, of course, it was a bit of the absolute realms, I think, of normality in League of Europe. We had Selly win, Alp in second, Campbell in third. Are we going to see the same top three tonight?
Well, I think last week we had rain, though. Was it qualifying it was raining? And I doubt we'll have that this week. I think rain always changes what people's pace is like. I think with it probably being dry, bar a miracle in Abu Dhabi, we'll probably see similar front three, because their pace seems to come to the front a bit. But there are people that have specialised tracks. I know Jeroen, for instance, is pretty good at this track, so he'll probably be hoping to get somewhere near the front.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Jeroen could be up actually there in the top five. I certainly think he's got a really good chance around here. If it's anything PSGL F2, though, that I did on Monday, could have 5 safety cars potentially out on track tonight, which I really hope we don't get to see. I really hope that these guys do understand that the driving standards are normally a little bit more poor compared to everyone else. So hopefully we can rectify that, and hopefully it'll be all good and fine and dandy coming into tonight as well. We have got a debutant as well in the field tonight as a reserve, Mr. Alex the G, who's alongside me in the commentary box normally on a Thursday night, which is really, really strange to see him out on track. He is one of the first drivers coming out of the pit lane. Killer, I think, is the first man out on track. Welcome back, Killer, by the way, to F1 as well. But Alex the G, not really sure how I can understand how he might get on, to be honest. He is a reserve, of course, in the Alpine. He is alongside, of course, I think it is Verstappen in the same team. So Alex should do quite well, but this is going to be a bit of baptism of fire around here, I think.
Well, yeah, I remember actually when he got called up, so he was the closest person to me in the first few rounds of Division 2. He was like the one that was saying I might have like a fight with for the championship maybe, and then I think he had a bad race at China and then got moved up, and we're a bit confused, but I think it was more to do with his availability. So Division 1 timing is a lot better for him, and if there's a choice between Division 1 and 3, I think we all know he would run rings around Division 3. So he seemed to welcome the challenge, and we've seen in the first few weeks, you don't actually need to be the fastest in Division 1 to get points. There seems to be a bit of a scrap in the midfield, so I think 12th to 8th is actually open to the rest of the lobby. I think that the top 6, 7 spots tend to go to the people with the most pace, but I do think the lower end of the points this year in Division 1 is a lot more open.
Yeah, I honestly think League of Europe Division 1 this season, as Killer has spun coming out of turn number 1 already on his lap. That is a great introduction back into life in Division 1 from Killer. Spins through the left-hand of turn number 1, already ruined his lap as a result. Too much curb. Basically, there's a sausage curb on the inside. He's got caught on that, and he spun the car around and over-rotated, coming through the exit of turn number 1. Set the purple for a sec. That's not going to be purple for that long, because I think there's a Ferrari out on track, if I'm not mistaken. There's also another spinner coming through the middle sector. That's, I think, the Williams there of, and I'm just tempted to look, might be Wouter potentially. I think he might be on his outlap down there, or is that one of the two, I think. But Jeroen, I think, is the other man that is just on up on lap. He's the man actually behind Killer at this stage, as he now comes through the right-handed chicane of 6 and 7, then in towards the kink of 8, down in toward the left-handed turn number 9. Of course, his reprofiled circuit. Typical Herman Tilke design circuit, obviously promotes a lot more overtaking, a lot more battling as well out on track. 52.7 in the middle sector, quite respectful there from Jeroen, coming through the middle sector split as he now comes through, past the Marina on the right hand side, rides the curb. That's a little bit cheeky, because that would have been an invalidation if he did run wide there. Might have to back off his lap though if the stewards do click on to that, as he now comes through the left-hander of 13, then through the left-hander of 14, Marina there on the right-hand side, as we now come through the right-hander of 15 on board with Jeroen, the FDR man. Of course, hasn't recently joined the team, he's been in the team now for a couple of months, really applying his trade quite well. Killer Salon 130.9, 123 flat from Jeroen, already beats that lap time. Gary, I think, is coming through the final couple of corners as well, but Jeroen, quicker than Campbell so far. Creakle there in third, Killer there in fourth, but Gary looks like he could be on a good lap here as well. He could put it around Alex the G sort of area, possibly ahead, and he does. 23.4 from the Irishman.
Yeah, and Alp just got a big toe down the first sector. He's going to cross the line now. He's going to go top. And he can thank his teammate there for that, because he did get a toe all the way down the straight just after sector 1. So that probably gained him over the 10th that he needed to get into pole. It was a little bit of a shaky last sector. He had to kind of let off a little bit. He went wide through the double left. So there's definitely time to find there, but can he find enough to make up for the toe that he got?
Yeah, definitely so. Alp on top though, Jeroen in second, Campbell there in third, Wouter there in fourth. I'm aboard with Rocco, whose team is currently getting beat in real life. The typical West Ham supporter. David Moyes definitely deserves the sack if it's anything to go by from Sunderland back in the day, as Rocco now comes through the final couple of corners through the right-hander. Osama bin Rocco, he has been called in recent weeks as well, but that is honestly very true, as he goes 8, not like Osama bin Laden at this stage for 23.5. However, his actions in the race have been quite something. He has been doing a lot of dive bombs recently, but Albert on top, Yildirim in second, Jeroen there in third, Campbell there in fourth, and Mouter there in fifth, and the top 4 covered by nearly 0.2 of a second out on track, and Yildirim actually going second. Not a bad lap there at all. He was up there in qualifying last week in Japan, so clearly showing the form from that.
Yeah, and first of all, I'll correct you. West Ham are drawing, and I've actually had the better stats of the game. So have some respect on Sir David Moyes. We got is that around? That is a blue car.
Yeah, I think it is that.
Yeah, is that doing donuts in the track? So no surprise there. Probably actually getting out the way of Wouter, his teammate. So, which we've seen a few times now. I've seen a few people. He's in the wall, and that's a brake marker gone for everyone in Sector 3, good luck with that. But I was just about to say, this track is actually one of those, with the change in layout now, there are 2 situations where you can kind of give each other a toe. So obviously the main part is probably still going to be down that back straight, but after the chicane, you can give toe there as well. You're going to get quite a good run into the, do you class it as a hairpin? It's still a hairpin.
Turn number 9 is that?
Yeah, I think it's still a hairpin.
Yeah, it is still a hairpin, but it's a left-handed 180 degree. It's basically a hairpin coming to the left-handed turn number 9. And yeah, I've got to agree, normally in team events, I normally see the slipstream being given down this straight. We're on board with Slash at the minute, down the back straight in towards turn 6 and 7. That is normally where they tend to give that big EOS advantage, and of course the slipstream advantage as well. It's something around 0.3 of a second extra if you do get slipstream range. Of course, Alp has proven that currently with the 122.9 with his slipstream off his teammate, of course, who's down there in 17th and in the pit lane in the minute. Slash though in the middle sector, 52.6 is up there with Yildirim in the middle sector. It's actually not looking too bad. He got caught in the bump there coming out of turn number 9. That is something to watch out for tonight as well. The bumps do catch people out. Even though the curbs are deadly on this game, the bumps around this track are very deadly as well, as now Slash comes through the left-hander of turn 13. As you see something, I think a Mercedes getting out the way there.
No, I just had a look. We'll just talk about the slipstream given there. I just had a look at the Sector 2 times. Alp is 4 tenths up on Jeroen, and just in the second sector. He's 2 tenths up on Yildirim, but Jeroen's less than a tenth behind him overall, so he's gained pretty much 3 tenths on him that lap, just from getting a toe down that straight, like you said. So I think these teammates need to figure out if they're going to help each other or not, because 3 tenths of a second in Division 1 in qualifying is a massive chunk. Could be about 4 or 5 positions.
Yeah, it could be 4 or 5 positions, and look at the gap between Campbell and Wouter. It's 0.2 per second, so if anybody uses the slipstream here, 3rd, 4th, 5th around this sort of area, Wouter and Slash, by the way, set the same lap time. Slash set the lap time later, so that's why he's there in 6th and Wouter there in 5th. But the slipstream, honestly, is very potent around this track. I'd be very surprised to see not many drivers using it, to be honest, at this stage. Certainly it will come to pass towards the end of the qualifying session. Alp's coming through the final couple of corners now just to set up on a run, coming through 14, 15 and 16. Campbell is also following them out on track. And I'm just trying to see if there's anybody actually on a lap. Gary, the Irishman, is on a lap, running down in towards turn number 5. A fan of Wild Youth, which got selected as the Irish Eurovision entry last night as well. And he's up in the first sector by 700ths of a second. So Gary, hoping to do what Ireland has never done in 20-odd years, and that is win, certainly, a race here in Abu Dhabi, first and foremost, but also win Eurovision.
I'm surprised they still do Eurovision. I swear, last time I read about Ireland and Eurovision, they didn't want to do it because they couldn't afford to host it anymore. I remember that being a thing where they were purposely sending out bad people because they couldn't afford to run the Eurovision anymore. That's when they had that, like, puppet. What was it? They had, like, a puppet singing, didn't they? And it was, like, awful.
Dustin the Turkey, I think. That was 2008 in Belgrade.
Yeah, I remember my granddad saying it's because they couldn't afford to run it, so they didn't want to win.
But then again, you get the UK sending Sam Ryder, Jesus lookalike, and he gets second last year in Eurovision.
I'm going to that.
And we're obviously hosting it in Liverpool this year as well, which is fantastic, of course, on behalf of Ukraine. But still, we are hosting Eurovision, something that I've never seen in my lifetime, and probably nobody's ever seen in their lifetime.
Ukraine got the sympathy vote.
Yeah, sympathy vote, as Gary does get the sympathy vote for 8th position at this stage. 23.3 currently on his lap. It was a good lap, though, by Gary. Oh, as Wout has gone heavily into the wall. That is coming out of turn number 5. That was a full-on spin. He invalidated his lap, and he's just gone full smashing into the wall as Campbell now goes... Alp goes quickest. Campbell to the line goes second. He's 2 tenths actually off Alp, who must have got slipstream again on that lap. You'll be there in third as 300 up coming through the final sector. Wouter, I see weird things in my time in league racing. I've never seen anybody crash into turn number 5, do a full 180 and then absolutely smash their front wing into the wall as Yildirim goes third.
He's in relentless, so it makes sense. We're all a little bit special. We're not quite there, but yeah, you just talk about Campbell's time. Once again, 3 tenths behind on Alp in sector 2. So I'm not saying it's all down to the toe. Maybe Alp just has an incredible chicane, but it does look like the difference between a top position is getting toe off your teammate. So these Ferraris, I don't know how close they are, but I don't think Jeroen and Campbell are the closest in communications, but they need to probably think about helping each other out a bit.
Yeah, the Mercedes as well, not communicating that well. The other Mercedes at the minute of Jensen is, I think, just starting up on a run in towards 6 and 7. Selly, by the way, current championship leader, is on a lap. And that is more like it through the middle sector. 52.598, 2.5 tenths up on his current lap. Doesn't catch the bump coming out of turn number 9. And if it's anything to go by, his final sector should be quite strong. So Selly, watch out for him coming up the field here. Might go Yildirim Jeroen, that sort of area is where I'm expecting him to go. If he finds a really good final sector, though, he could put himself easily ahead of Campbell into second position with this lap. As now the Austrian comes through the final couple of corners. Through 15, catches on the bump slightly. Now until the right hand of 16. On the run to the line, is Selly going to go second? No, goes fourth, exactly where I predicted him to go. Ahead there of Jeroen. Yildirim there in third as well, obviously off a lap at this stage. But Alp out on top, Campbell in second, Yildirim in third. And Alp currently, the Turk-American, holding the lead from Campbell in second, the Scotsman, and Yildirim there in third, the Dutchman. And Selly there in fourth as Jensen, finding his form from WR last night, goes fifth.
Yeah, it's kind of the usual names that we expect to see at the front. It's good to see Yildirim actually get up there near the top again. He's not had the best of luck so far. He's not actually changed his name. So it'll be good to see everyone. I think Krico, last time I checked, struggled a lot at this track. And yeah, he's not doing the greatest at the moment. But I think one thing to notice, QVR Matt down in 19th, doing all he can to help his teammate get pole, and then sat in 19th. So there seems to be one objective for the AlphaTaurists today, and it's not to get Matt near the front.
Definitely not, and to be honest, Matthias does struggle around this track. I've seen him crash around here many times, even on like F1 2018, F1 2019, where he was in one of my leagues that I ran on there, and he struggled around this track on that game, so God knows what he's going to do on this track here in Abu Dhabi on this game. He's down there in 19th, 23.8. I mean, I'm not disrespecting him whatsoever. He's currently, I think, on a lap. He's actually just, I think, coming back into the pit lane. But Matthias is normally a quick driver. On his day, he can be up there. Creco was not on a lap at this stage. Rocco either not on a lap. And I think, actually, there's not many drivers on a lap at this stage. But Alp leads the way. Campbell in second, Yildirim in third. Eurovision chat is on flowing there in the chat, which I really like to see. Brendan, who is in the chat, former LOE alumni, of course. Dustin the Turkey for Adam was as low as we can get. Yeah, totally agree with that. It was about as low as low. But then again, Jedward was sent 4 years later. And look what happened. They qualified twice for the final. So maybe sending Jedward back might just work. As Montana's also said, Gary's a fan of Wild Youth. Terrible, terrible puns coming from Montana's end. And Jules Lab as well, saying the Netherlands has also had those lows, especially with Gianni Macroy. 2021 could be worse. Could be James Newman, who got sent in 2021. Nil point in both the jury and the televote. Thank God it's 100% televoting now.
I don't really understand what the voting is like now, actually. So, did the audience get a full vote in who wins, or is it still down to the special people at the top?
It's for the semis this year. It is 100% televoting, so it is literally all of the votes cast from the public. They are going to be making up the 10 qualifiers in each of the semi-finals, and then in the final, it's 50% jury, 50% televoting, and there's also a rest of the world vote this year as well, which has never been done at Eurovision before. So that should be quite interesting.
Ooh. That's an interesting rest of the world at Eurovision, but. I'll bite my tongue as a. I think
Australia's performing at it, for goodness sake.
Get them out, bin them off. We don't want them. Is Slash on a lap here, or is he coming in? I think the timing would suggest he's gonna stay out, come for a lap. He's actually not gonna get another lap in, you'd assume. So this has to be a good lap from him, and it's not too shabby. It's a 22.8.
Very strong lap.
With no slipstream either.
No slipstream either. No other cars out on track, unless he got slipstream from Killer, which I think is very unlikely, because I think Killer came out the pit lane after him. Slash there in second, 22.8, very good. The former TTG man, I think, as well, back in the day. He's there in second, Campbell there in third, Yildirim there in fourth. Still looking quite close, though, between those guys. Sully was on a lap, he decided to come in back into the pit lane as well. He was 6,000s down out the middle sector. He must have had a bit of an invalidation with him. Lasker apparently wants Yildirim's kids, which I don't think is appropriate. Certainly at this early stage in the night. Then again, I was told a very funny story before the start of the stream, which I'm not going to repeat for the benefit of everyone who might have children in the room. But Albert on top, Slash there in second, Campbell in third. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, and we are now getting to the nitty gritties. I think Killer has just started up on his lap, coming out through the first sector of turn number 3.
Yeah, and Killer, this track, infamously the track that he actually won the championship at. In Division 2. This was, I think, the final race of the season. And he won the championship by taking out 3 people. So a very valiant Schumacher performance from Killer Blue there. And we'll stay on board with him in 13th. Trying to probably get himself, realistically, you just maybe try to aim for a top 10, see what you can do from there. I remember his pace actually being not too bad here. I think he just had bad luck. So he does have the pace. I don't think he quite has the passion this season round. I don't think he's enjoying the game as much now. He's reached his high, he's won his championship, and I don't think we're seeing the best out of Jake that we could probably see.
Yeah, I think honestly, most people are like that now. We're getting towards the business end of the game cycle. We're getting towards the end of league racing as well. And obviously, it's very unfortunate. I know Max Verstappen obviously signed a deal with the EA Sports, which I think is very criticism-based because obviously he had that tirade at Motorsport Games, and now he signed a deal with EA Sports, which doesn't make any difference. Killer, not going to be signing an EA Sports deal very soon. 23.3 does improve on his time, doesn't actually improve his position, I believe. He stays there in 13th, Rick there in 14th, also just starting up on a run, and now we're getting into the business end of this qualifying session. The likes of Alp, the likes of Campbell. Alp actually on a lap, 300s down out the middle sector, so actually not looking too bad. He's a little bit out of sync compared to everyone, though, on a lap, but I think it's because if he had an invalidation or something, or had a spin, as the Red Bull, I think, of Killer there, get out of the way. Literally, as soon as I said that, Alp was just invalidated. He can go for another run. He has got 40% of ERS, though, for this final run, so we really need a bit of luck out on track. but that might be him done completely out of this session. Campbell there, 300s down out the first sector. Yildirim, however, I think is furthest on, potentially in terms of the front runners on a lap at this stage. But Alpard on top, Slash there in second, Campbell in third. Yildirim responds, big middle sector, 52.4, purple on my screen certainly in the middle sector, and Yildirim looking to try and prove maybe a little bit of a shock. If he can find any time on Alp, certainly this will be it in the final sector.
Yeah, and we're speaking about that toe. I don't think I see anyone where they got it from. His teammate is nowhere near him on track, so this is just going to be all pure pace if he does manage to get pole position.
Jensen.
It's going to be a tough ask. He's kept that last corner very tight, actually. It's done very well. He's going to get on the power early, and it's going to be a 22-7, and it's that teamwork that's costing these people. Alp is holding on, but it does show, without that toe pace, this could be a very good fight at the front, as I think Lewis just grabbed third place as well there.
Yeah, he did, and Yildirim there in second, Campbell third, Jensen in fourth, Sally is down through the middle sector, coming through the final couple of corners now at 15, and then to the right under 16, Verstappen has just gone 7th there as well with 123 flat as Sally now comes through the final corner onto the line, and he's only 6th. 22.9. He said he'll struggle this week. Certainly bounced back to form last week in Japan. Rome was 2.5 tenths up in the first sector. He's invalidated. Gary is backed off, I think, a lap running down the straight. He's certainly not on a physical run. J. Cole, however, is 52.7 in the middle sector. A 10th up coming now through the final couple of corners. Through the right-hander. Is he going to try and prove himself into the top 10? No, stays 11th. Did improve on his time, though. P's coming through the final corner. A little bit off wayward compared to J. Cole's middle sector. Did improve as well. Stays in position and only 9,000 of a second off. Killer's backed off. Rocco there into 13th as well. Kariko is not on a lap. Izzat is reversing quite weirdly through the final corner. I think, unless there's anybody else on a lap, I think that's the end of qualifying. I don't think anybody's on a lap. So it's Alpard on top. Yildirim there in second. Campbell there in third. And in the end, Alp with a 122.6. I honestly think a little bit off the pole time I was expecting, because I was certainly expecting 22 threes, 22 fours.
Yeah, I think this track is one of those. It is a hard track to put together. Easier nowadays with the change, but it is hard to get a full optimal lap together. I know Slash was actually saying his best PB time in a GP session was a 0.5, so he feels he's got more time in there. 0.5 is crazy. So these guys, I think it's going to be very close at the front. I think obviously we saw a few things with Toe there, but Toe aside, pole's pole, and Alp will be starting at the front. This will be very interesting. Like you said, safety cars at this track for some reason just seem to breathe. They just seem to come out, I don't know why. You'd look at the layout, you'd think there's probably not going to be that many, but with safety cars coming out a lot, I wonder if we'll see anyone go for the mediums at the start.
Yeah, PSGL F2, 5 safety cars on Monday. You can't really beat that, to be honest. It was the championship fight. We have got a championship fight here in terms of Sally and Campbell, and Alp currently dominating the title race at this stage. But Alp out on top. Yildirim there in second, Campbell there in third, Jensen fourth. So, 3 of the main 4 protagonists currently in the championship battle are ahead of Sally in that battle. Sally, of course, there in 6th, split by the Brit there of Slash in 5th. Sally, as I mentioned, in 6th, Verstappen in 7th, Jerome there in 8th. Gary there in 9th with Wouter rounding off the top 10. J. Cole in 11th, Pease there in 12th, Rocco there in 13th, Killer in 14th, Rick in 15th. Alex the G on his debut down in 16th. Didn't actually see much of him in that session towards the end there. Dari there in 17th, Kriko in 18th, Matthias there in 19th, and Izzat didn't even get a lap time in the Singaporean down at the back of the field. As looking at the chat, Michael Massey, who I'm sure is not the real Michael Massey, it's just a parody account from somebody. If no one wants safety cars, I can help with that. Get in the session and help with it then.
I mean, in fairness, Michael Massey does have some free time now, so it could very well be him.
It could be him. Tuning in all the way from Australia, potentially. But there we are. I think he might be busy with the Bathurst, the 12 hours of Bathurst. I think that's going on this weekend, potentially.
Oh,
but
yeah,
there we are.
I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah,
I hate that track as well.
I was watching the practice sessions a little bit earlier on, and we had kangaroos jumping on the track. We had a wheel causing a red flag. Just things that you normally see at Mount Panorama at Bathurst.
I will say, looking at this grid where people have finished, seeing that cluster of RAL drivers in the middle just shows. I honestly think, as someone who runs RAL, my roster has done about 3 laps combined of practice. It is the want to play this game at the moment on this, and I think in all divisions, is so low. I think that might be why we're seeing times not be as good as they were, or as we expect. I think a lot of people aren't putting the time into practice. So it does make for more interesting races, though, because people warm into the game as the race goes on. You do see people's pace pick up in the second half of the race. So people like Pease, maybe not Rocco will drop to the back, but people like Pease and whilst you'd expect them to maybe find some positions as they find some pace.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. And speaking of pace, potentially off the start, Jensen's on a set of medium compound tyre. He's the only person that has decided to go for a set of medium compound tyres. It's the middle of the road tyre around this track, and they can either work one or two ways. They can either last you until around lap 15, lap 16, and then pit in again for a set of hard compound tyres, or he could try and get a bit of an early stop going, potentially lap 9, lap 10, then go into a set of hard compound tyres. Regardless of that strategy call, though, Jensen, I know for a fine fact, is not going to get 24, 25 laps in that set of mediums. It's absolutely impossible to try to. So Jensen has got to be clever. I think he'll make the pit stops early. If there's no safety cars in this race, I think he'll make the pit stops early. And I think he'll come in around lap 9, lap 10, transition to a set of hards. 18 laps in a set of hards are very doable. So Jensen, I think, honestly, personally, I think he shot himself in the foot with that strategy.
Yeah, I think he's... I did actually ask the boys beforehand, because I was asking if I qualify near the front, would it be a good idea to go into the mediums, try pull a gap, and just drive pit early on? And I was told a resounding no. Everyone said no very quickly. They did not like the idea of the mediums, which is going to show with the rest of the grid.
Gilbert and Campbell have just done potentially the weirdest spins coming around the final corner on the grid I've ever seen.
They're warming up the tyres. It's a smart move. But I will say, if a safety car comes out between the laps, I'd say 4 and 10, all of a sudden, Jensen's looking very, very good.
Oh yeah, he will get a really good start, regardless, I think, of the starts behind, as we are waiting for the final drivers to come around the final corner. Is that now making up the division? I'm going to put you on the spot, Nolan, top 3?
I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to go Jules Bream, Campbell, Slash.
Interesting. Father Lights are coming out here in Abu Dhabi. And it is. Lights out, away we go. And Alp gets a very good start. Not as good as Jules Bream, though. He goes to the inside line in towards turn 1. And Alp has absolutely slept off the start. Campbell's through as well. And actually makes contact with Jules Bream in towards turn 1. Slight bit of contact there on the front wing. But he's through and he's into second. Jensen hasn't got a great start. He's there in fourth. Right underneath the rear wing there of Bell. Pretty much pushing him through the corner. Ball goes flying off the left-hand side there as well. So now Jensen eyes up to the inside line and toward turn number 5. Late on the brakes. Gets the job done. Beautiful stuff by Jensen. Through and he's into third. Alp got caught absolutely napping. Great restart. A great stop by everyone so far. Selly and Slash are side by side. Rocco and Gary are side by side. Further down the field. And here comes Campbell for the race lead to the inside line and Yilbring for the race lead down in towards turn 6 and 7. We saw Hamilton and Verstappen do this. These guys, though, know where the track limits are. Know where they are. Now Jensen's got a phenomenal run out of the corner. Campbell now and Yilbring side by side all the way up towards turn number 9. But Jensen burning that battery right on the back of Yilbring. Pulls to the inside line at turn number 9. Gets the job done to the inside line. Beautiful stuff by Jensen. Campbell there in the lead. Jensen in second. Jensen is a man on a mission at this stage. The Ferrari goes completely off track. There's Chiron in the background. A shot just going completely off wide. Rejoins, and I think Slash might have had a little bit of contact there. Slightly argy-bargy sort of stuff on re-entry. But Campbell leads the way. Jensen, though, man on fire in Abu Dhabi so far.
Yeah, those mediums really coming into play early on. Campbell with an incredible start to get up into first. We noticed a slight tap on turn 1. I don't think he's got any damage from it. As Alp dropped down, he's the biggest loser out of this in P3 right now. But you were saying about Slash, I think Jeroen entered the track very aggressively, and Slash almost got wiped out by that. So I think he'll be quite lucky to be sat in 7th at the moment.
He'd be very lucky, I think, and he's under actually pressure from Verstappen, and Verstappen might eye up a move to the inside line at turn number 9, but on settling down, nobody's got damage on that first lap. Killer is through on Gary, who I think has made a mistake coming out of turn number 3, and Rick tries to go around the outside there as well, and the Alfa Romeo wing mirrors apart as they come through the left-hander at turn number 5. Alex the G is getting involved in this as well. Slightly wide there was Matthias, I think, maybe taking out the marker boards on the right-hand side. Selly is through on Yilbrim in the foreground shot. He's through there and into 4th. Alex the G, though, watching on board with Rick, on board now on the back of Gary, trying to look to the outside line, and actually gets a little bit of a tap, maybe an over-rotation hesitation there on the curb from Rick. I'm not sure if he had contact there with Izzat. Certainly, though, there is contact further down. Darian Izzat caught up in a collision. Izzat, unfortunately, down at the back of the field, and he's got, I think, front wing damage on the right side, on the left side end plate, I think, on the right side, one of the two. Campbell, though, leads the way, still Jensen second, Alpine third, and apart from that contact with Darian Izzat, was still all clean.
Yeah, most part has been quite clean. Izzat in an incident, no one's really shocked there. He'll go drown his sorrow, spending a grand on Genshin as Matthias is around as well. So that's Dari up into P18. Great start from him. I think positions gained. But yeah, Alex the G, earlier on, I saw him, he actually sent a move up into the chicane, which is probably just lack of... Oh, he's actually going in. I think they've got damage.
Yep, Gary has.
Damage. It did make... Gary was going very slow. It made sense. He's got a penalty for cutting the pit lane as well. Will Gary be retiring? I wouldn't think we'd expect to see that.
Yeah, front wing change.
To the mediums. Yep.
Yeah, front wing change for Gary. So the mediums go on. 8 seconds the pit stop, of course, with that front wing change. Normally it's around 3 seconds on average on this track. Gary, though, out of the pit lane. Dari also out the pit lane. Alex the G also had a front wing change, and he is coming out the pit lane as well. But Campbell leads the way. Jensen there in second, out there in third. Most position gain now because of the pit stops that we've seen. Creekle, Matthias, and Izzat have all gained 3 positions. Campbell and Jensen have gained 2 off the start. Alp absolutely slept off the start. He said in an interview last week, it's one of his real weaknesses. Start on this game is not his forte whatsoever. Got completely caught flat-footed basically off the line, and now is under pressure obviously from Selly in behind. You do not want the championship leader right on the back of you around here. But Selly, to be fair, looks like he's struggling early on. Doesn't like he's got the pace. He has gained 2 positions though off the race start at this stage. For Campbell leading the way, Jensen there in second, and Jensen biding his time now. I think it's through on QVR Matthias in for the left-hand return number 9. I think they're still going side by side through that part of the track of the mini-map, and Izzat has got that job done. So he's through and he's into 16. Matthias there in 17. Campbell leads the way, Jensen second, and Jensen, once he got those first 2 moves done on lap 1, it's now all settled down, and I think he's now holding on to his tyres more than anything.
Yeah, I was just about to say, the corners where I'd expect to see the mediums still have the edge. For instance, coming out of the chicane at the end of Sector 2, Lewis seems to be, Campbell, seems to be getting a much better exit. He seems to be really comfortable on those hards. He's probably got them up to temperature now. He's pacing very well, and he'll be happy to think, at this point, even if Jensen gets past him in a few laps, he's still in a very, very good position, because Jensen will have been hoping to have probably broke DRS by now on those mediums. So Campbell's looking very good, as Rocco getting through on P's quite simple move, already with a red flashing light, so he's down into under 10%, but you were saying about Alp starts. I actually know, either this week or last week, Lewis Campbell was actually helping Alp just on starts. They were doing one-on-one lessons on how to start the races, so it's not quite gone to plan for Alp.
No, and I think Campbell pretty much a useless teacher, I think, at that point, because he didn't have the greatest start whatsoever, did Alp. And Campbell, I think, if he is tutoring him at this stage, I think you need to fire him and find somebody else, to be honest. But Campbell leads the way. He is showing why he is one of the top guys, of course, in LOE, being out in front. Jensen there in second, Alp in third. I know for a fact Campbell will probably make me shut up a little bit later on, but Campbell leads the way. Jensen there in second, Alp there in third. Everyone settling down nicely. We saw, obviously, Rocco get that very simple move done on P's. As you mentioned, he has got 5% of ERS running down the straight, and he's desperately actually trying to stay within a second of Wouter, who is ahead of him, and has got 70%. So Wouter has got 10 times as much ERS as Rocco does. That is not any stretch of the imagination. That is simple facts out on track. Wouter there with much more ERS than Rocco. Rocco is going to be the real loser, I think, because Pease is on the back of him now in towards turn number 5 once again. But the Ariel boys are doing quite well. QVR, of course, with Campbell out in front, Jensen there in second. No real moves, I think, are going to be had as Alex G sets the new fastest lap of the race on track. So we are now in a bit of a boring fest in the first half of the race. It's getting a bit strategic out on track, and speaking of strategic, Jensen 17% more ERS than Campbell at this stage.
Yeah, I think the only bit of interest that we're going to get is from Jensen when Jensen pits. We'll have to decide when that is. I've been told that the undercut is very powerful here, yep, but you also run the risk of a safety car not going your way. The only issue is with these guys, I don't see a safety car being as likely in Division 1, especially with how spaced out people are. I think the runoffs are quite large, but obviously this game doesn't tend to make sense. A car could just spin on track and there'll be a safety car, so realistically there shouldn't be one. Knowing Codemasters, there'll be one for no reason.
Oh, honestly, PSGL F2, we had 3 guys use their wings, their full front wings, out on track at various incidents, and they got deployed with 3 safety cars as a result, which is just ridiculous. Didn't even go full VSC, we just went full straight safety car, and we only had about 12 laps worth of racing in that race as well, so that is the flip side. Obviously, we've got more racing here in LOE than we did, of course, on Monday. While I'm on the PSGL F2 subject, was that Sally on the back of Al?
I was on board of P's. He went too much on the curve coming through turn 4, I believe it is, the long right, and he had to let off completely, and that's dropped him out the gap from Rocco now.
Oh, that's a shame from Pease. Rocco is still there, I think, within DRS range, so he is lucky. Pease has actually got DRS, to be fair, on the back of Rocco, who actually didn't have DRS on that last DRS detection point. Doesn't either here. Yeah, Rocco really struggling. They're in 10th position, 5% of VRS, and he's got Pease with 52% in behind on him. And if I was the REL boss right now, I'd be saying, get this move done. Pease really needs to get through. He needs to use that ERS and then bring Rocco back into play potentially in this race. Jekyll also following through as well. He's there down in 12th and in the plumb last position in terms of the point scoring as well. Everyone's still going the way on track.
James Head. We would never. Team orders are not a thing. You know, you could never do that. Morse code is the way that we give those strategies away.
But the thing is, though, Rocco 1.6 seconds is losing time to Outer, and there's a big old DRS train ahead. So why wouldn't you swap them?
Skill issue. We're not a good team, James Head. We're not a good. Wouter's rubbish. Rocco's rubbish. Pease is rubbish. Jayco's rubbish. We're all rubbish.
Oh, there's a yellow flag, and I think that's Matthias round coming to the left-hand with 13. I think he's got the car back going again. I can tell you're a terrible team. You're last in EML Premier 1. That's how I could tell what a terrible team is.
We don't have a team. We have one driver on our EML roster. It's not looking good. I think we had to get a sub-team in because we didn't have any drivers available.
I think OP were meant to race on Wednesday, and they didn't even show up themselves. And TDG, to be fair, didn't even field the team.
To tell you how down bad Relentless is right now, I'm doing a no-assist race next week, and I run automatic gears still. So, that's how desperate we are.
Speaking of desperate, Matthias trying to form a bit of new track limits there with another mistake further down the field. Pease, by the way, is going to breeze on past Rocco. Finally, I think, listening to me in the background. Pease there through and he's into 10. Rocco there in 11. Had to swap the cars because Pease had just more ERS than him. He's got more pace than him at this stage as well. And Rocco, probably with one eye on the West Ham score and absolutely sure, he's there in 11. But he has now got a chance and opportunity to save his ERS. He's got 8% of ERS. If he lifts and coasts, and this is a thing on the game that I've been noticing the last couple of weeks, if he lifts and coasts on this game, as Matthias has picked up a 10-second penalty for corner cutting out of the chicane, I think that was, which is a bit strange. But anyways, yeah, Rocco can afford now to just lift and coast through the corners, gain a bit more ERS, and then think about attacking Pease again. And that could be another battle developing out on track with Killer and Rick, as Alex the G has spun, coming through turn number 9, so no longer the G, unfortunately, out on track.
Yeah, Alex the G getting a harsh reality check on the differences between Division 2 and Division 1. The Crico is out. That's in the pits.
Why?
We respect that. He's relentless. We don't talk rubbish about him. It's a great move by Crico. Understandable. Respectful, of course. Oh dear.
Matthias, has Matthias just crashed coming into the pit lane? I've just seen that on the mini-map. I'm aboard with Sally on the back of Al, and Matthias retires into the pit lane. I think he's crashed coming into the pit lane, or he's spun coming out of turn 15, and then
come out of the pits.
Into the wall. Yeah, his Crico's AI is coming out of the pit lane. Matthias' AI, however, is retiring in the pit lane, which I don't get about this game. It's stupid. And now actually Matthias' AI is coming out of the pit lane. Absolutely stupid. Jensen, by the way, on the back of Campbell, really pushing him 0.2 of a second away. Coming through is Campbell, completely under pressure now. Wide coming through 13, wide through 14 as well. Gets a really good entry actually coming out of 14, and now pulls 0.4 away. But Campbell leads the way. Jensen second, out there in third. And not going to plan for Crico, not going to plan for Matthias. And in fact, Matthias' AI's Pease has crashed coming out of turn number 9. And is that going to be a safety car? Yes, it is.
This is perfect for Jensen, and Lewis Campbell will not be happy about this.
They've already passed the pit lane. They can't come in. They can't come in. And the first one in is Killer, and he was just outside the points.
But I think Jensen will still benefit anyway, even pitting at the end of the lap. He's going to be at the back of the pack on hard. He won't have to pit again. So I think even it's probably not ideal. I think he'll still probably come out ahead of Killer Blue. He's going to have the gap. But either way, this is, I still think, beneficial for Jensen. I think Campbell will be thinking, my luck is terrible right now, because he's still waiting for that win, isn't he? He's still waiting for this season's win. The people that are normally there to take it away from him haven't had the best of starts to the race. It was looking all in his hands. He's done everything right so far, but the safety car's come out at a time where it's probably going to hurt him.
It is going to hurt him, and for the guys on a set of hards, this is ideally the worst possible thing that they could think of happening right now. A safety car out on track, already still in the first half of the race. If this was lap 13, lap 14, they could come in for a set of mediums and get to the end of the race. They're still too early to come in the pit lane and go on that set of mediums, even though I think Campbell, because Jensen I know for a fact is probably going to come in the pit lane here and then go on a set of hards. This is absolutely ideal for him. Campbell has got to react to that.
I'm sorry to quote, does Killer have to stick to a Delta still here?
Yes. Yeah,
yeah. I was going to say,
car.
if he didn't have to, then that would have been great for him, because obviously he could have just bombed it and tried to get as many people as he can, but I still think he's going to come out exactly where he was, sadly. I don't think actually missing the pit lane has hurt him too badly.
Jeroen / Wouter into the pit lane. Further down this group, Rocco also in, Jake also in, and Rick stays out in the Alfa Romeo. Otherwise, he would have been double stacked, of course. They're all going on the set of mediums. Now, if this safety car stays out, Slash goes for a set of softs. And I honestly think that might be a really good call from Slash on that set of soft compounded tyres, because he can see he's not going to get a set of mediums to the end of the race. He's not going to get a set of softs to the end of the race either. But physically, in terms of pace, they're going to be the quickest tyres for a good 4 or 5 laps. So Slash actually has been quite smart with that.
In a way, yeah. But we know the saying that safety cars breed safety cars, and he is leaving his window for another one really short. Whereas these medium runners can kind of just run in these for a while now, waiting for another one to come out, and then they'll go into the softs at the end. So I think if there isn't one, then it's a great move. But if there is one, Slash needs the window to be very, very soon, because if not, he's just going to, well, he's going to be in no man's land by the end of it, because everyone else will go into the softs, I'd assume.
Montana as well saying in the chat, apparently Yulbreamer's got damage. He's driven into the back of Selly. If it is, yes it is. Left side end plate. Left side end plate is gone. Off Yulbreamer's car, he has driven into the back of Selly. I didn't see that on my camera angle. We were busy, too busy flicking through the field. But Yulbreamer there, left side end plate damage on the car. Good spot there by Montana. I would take Kravitz there in the chat. He's there in fourth position. And is he going to be forced to come in the pit lane as well and then go set of mediums? Because if he does, I could see him coming out around Izzat Dari, which is, I guess, not too bad. But he's still going to have that trouble of getting those mediums to the end of the race. Yeah,
and importantly, if Montana knows, then Selly knows, because that's probably how he's got the information. Yeah. So Selly will be aware of Julbrine's damage. Will Julbrine stay out? He stays out, so he thinks he can handle it. But yeah, this is a massive moment for Verstappen, actually. As Jay's got a 3-second penalty.
Pit lane.
Yes.
the most ridiculous track limits around here in Abu Dhabi, honestly. And he's got a front wing change. Front wing change for Killer. Not sure what happened with Killer out on track either.
I wonder if he's left it on auto. Because at this game, you can have orange wing damage, and if it's on auto, it won't change it. It's very strange.
Very true, very true. Has he had a spin, though, in this race? I don't think he has. So might have driven into the back of somebody? Maybe Wouter?
Oh, no, I've just seen the situation that we're in. This team, Relentless, is about to shut down after this week, because I'm about to see Jeroen, who is basically he's still in the chat, he's one of us. Jeroen, Wouter, Jaco, Rocco, Izzat, all on mediums, trying to push their way through this front group. Oh no. But I apologise to the field for what's about to happen.
But honestly, from my perspective anyways, Jensen is there ahead as Izzat has actually gone through on Rocco. They quickly swapped positions if they were. They were trying a bit of tomfoolery there, certainly on our end, to swap the positions. But Jensen's there in 7th position. And the big thing is around this track, I've seen it so many times around here in Abu Dhabi, where drivers have come in for a pit stop, and they haven't ended up making any ground after that pit stop has been made. Campbell, Alp and Selly are going to be on much more worn tyres compared to Jensen and Jeroen, absolutely given that. But the fact is, they're 7th and 8th. If they were 3rd and 4th, it would be quite easy. As Rocco and Izzat again have nearly made a bit of contact there.
Is that almost just flies into the back of Rocco? I want to be in the party chat right now because I know what it'll be like. But yeah, you were saying that. I think it's a bit like Silverstone, the way since the layout changed, Silverstone's one of those tracks where you can just kind of get caught in a train and no one seems to go anywhere. And I feel like that's what the racing's like at Abu Dhabi nowadays here. Obviously, there's a few more corners where, you can test the braking zones and outrace someone. But I think for the most part, it is turning into another one of those train tracks, which is a bit of a shame. But we'll have to see. It all depends, I think, on Verstappen. I think Verstappen's going to be the one that matters here, because if dual beam's got this damage, these front three only need, a lap of dual beam holding Verstappen up, and they're gone. So
yeah, and obviously Yulbrun with that damage is going to have a real knock-on effect, and therefore adds to my point, Jensen and your own, are they going to make up the ground after coming into the pit lane? We are going to have to wait and find out, of course. We're nearly at the halfway stage here in Abu Dhabi. We're a couple of laps shy of the halfway stage, but Campbell leads the way out there in second, Sully there in third, Yulbrun in fourth, Verstappen in fifth, Rick in sixth, Jensen in seventh. The top six, by the way, have not pitted just yet. Everyone else further down the field has. Jensen on a set of hards in seventh, Jeroen, Wouter, J. Cole, Rocco and Izzat all on a set of mediums there from 8th to 12th. Slash in 13th, Gary in 14th, Killer in 15th, Alex the G in 16th, Slash and Gary on a set of hards, Killer and Alex the G on the set of mediums, Darry on a set of medium compound size as well. He's just came back into the pit lane for that compound tire. He was previously on a set of hards, so he has came into pit lane, bit the bullet, gone for that mandatory 2-stop, and he is probably more prominent, I think, to get those tires to the end of the race, along with Killer and Alex the G. I think the rest might just struggle, as the safety car is now coming in this lap. So that means Campbell, virtual Bert Manager, he's now the virtual safety car, and he'll be hoping that he's had some haggis for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Otherwise, Alp is going to be right there on him under the safety car start.
Yeah, I have been told the mediums can go 15 laps if you look after them. We've got, 17, 16 laps left, and they've been under a safety car. With luck, and they are going to feel terrible, but with the right luck, I could see someone trying to take these mediums to the end.
I think, looking further down the field, Jeroen, Wouter, I'm thinking potentially in terms of who might get them to the end. They're normally good on their tyre wear, so that is going to be a big factor.
We've seen 95% tyres win a race before. We have seen it.
We have, and that was season...
Was that Spain, wasn't it? QBR Maledictus, I think it was.
Maledictus, yeah. Oh, is that Sally really close to the back of Alp coming through the final corner? I'm not sure if there's a bit of contact there, actually, coming out through the final corner. It certainly unsettled the car, and it certainly put Jensen into 6th position as well, because Rick, around the outside, actually might have a bit of damage. And look at Jeroen to the inside line of turn number 2. Great stuff by Jeroen. Surely he's got damage as Rick, as Wouter now is under pressure completely, round the outside of turn number 3. That is a rare sight to see as well. Great stuff from Wouter. He's into 8th. Rick, of course, on that set of hards. Yulbrun and Verstappen are side by side. Verstappen, I think, lunged one down the inside line, and Yulbrun now Jensen going to try and make it 3 wide. He's boxed in, could potentially be 4 wide down the straight. You're on now to the inside line. What on earth is going to happen here? Down in towards turn 6 and 7. This is not going to end well for somebody.
No,
to the inside line of Jeroen. Cascades into the side of Jensen. Jensen has to take the escape of Verstappen and Hamilton out. He picks up a 3-second penalty. He'll be getting that removed, and absolutely sure. Yulbrun and Verstappen are falling over each other, and now Wouter and Jeroen are side by side. Jensen's now got an illegal overtake. He's having to retake the position back through, and Wouter and Jeroen are side by side in towards turn number 9, and in the end, Jensen at the wall. Jensen just about keeps it out the wall. Great recovery from him. J. Cole has been overtaken there by Rocco and Izzat, and he's had a spin as well. Coming out of turn number 9. Chaos here in Abu Dhabi on the restart. Campbell leads the way. Alp in second. Sully in third. The front 3 have kept it clean. Jensen in the end, he was making up the positions. That illegal overtake, that 3-second penalty will be removed, but he's had wretched luck all week, and that wretched luck continues as Izzat tries to go around the outside of Yulbrun at turn number 15. Yulbrun in the pit lane, and Izzat Slooney's into 8th.
Yeah, and can you believe Jeroen told me before the race he's the cleanest driver in Division 1? Can you believe
he's not
it?
now.
Yeah, that all stemmed. I don't know what he was thinking. He sent that from so far back, went so deep, and it just caused a ripple effect. Like, he kind of barricaded, because he didn't even turn, did he? It was almost like a Rosberg at turn 3 of Austria. He kind of just barricaded the corner.
to the inside line of Rick, and Killer's going to get a really good switchback actually on Rick as well, and Killer's through and he's into 10. Gary and Alex the G are side by side, and now Killer is side by side with Slash. There'll be a brilliant move, he can pull this off, and he will, because he's there on the inside line, down in towards 6 and 7, even before the corner comes up. Killer is through and he's into 9 in London last week, now in Abu Dhabi this week. He's there in 9, and he's making up for lost time.
Yeah, and a Division 2 rivalry renewed there. Obviously, the two people fighting for the championship last season, Rick and Killer. Slash was up there too, to be fair, and Killer's reminding them both that he's still the reigning champion for now in Division 2. And I think we've had someone else go there. We've had is that just Jensen leaving?
Alex the G's also left the session.
He has, yeah, Alex the G is in AI right now. I don't know, I think that was Jensen's car coming back out the pits and then retiring on track, which is lovely, Codemasters, thank you for that. But we're going to cut back to the front for 1 second. Lewis Campbell has broken 1 second to help.
He has indeed out there. He's struggling potentially in a bit of pace early on. Sally certainly, I think, is struggling in terms of pace. Of course, he hasn't been in the pit lane just yet. I think he needs another safety car to come back into it. Jeroen, that was all over the back. Jeroen has just been called a very, very rude word in the Discord, which I'm not going to repeat for the benefit of everyone on stream, as he nearly hits the back of Selly going in towards turn number 5 on the brakes, but he actually gets a really good run, secure run, coming out with the DRS now enabled, of course, on this lap. He might try the run. Selly, though, has got quick straight line speed, not as quick as Jeroen, as he now comes to the inside line, maybe down in towards turn 6 and 7. The Ferrari turns it to the inside line, and that is smart from Selly, backs off, and Jeroen through. Beautiful stuff from him, and he's through and he's into 3rd, and now set to sight on up, and it could be 2 for 1. Buy 1, you get 1 free as Jeroen now comes to the outside line, down in towards turn number 8 through the King, down in towards turn number 9, already job done. Jeroen 2 for the price of 1, job done from Jeroen, and he's through and he's into 2nd as Rocco, Killer are fighting side by side as well. And I think actually Rocco has got the job done on Killer, who I think was trying to repass him out of turn 8 and 9.
Yeah, and I don't know whether these two lads, I doubt they'll have spoken about it, but team orders, will it come into effect? As Jeroen now, on the mediums, he's going to probably catch Campbell, you'd assume. Campbell, well, both of them actually, with flashing red lights. I think nearly all of them have run out of ERS. Selly is the only one above, 15 there? He's on 35, so Jeroen is hunting down Campbell. This is decision time for Campbell. Does he let him go knowing he probably has to pit again?
Yeah, potentially so. Montana there saying in the chat, Slash will win, mark my words. He's there down in 10th position, around 5 seconds currently off the lead of the race. Whiter on the back of Selly is looking pretty interesting, down in toward the left-hander of turn number 5 once again. This reprofiled corner, of course. There used to be a chicane coming through the exit of turn 3 and then through 4 and 5 and then toward the hairpin of turn 6. Now no longer the case, but Whiter doesn't care about that. Jeroen certainly doesn't care about that either, because he passes Campbell in the meantime, and now Selly about to go around the outside of once again in towards turn number 6 and 7 on the brakes. The AlphaTauri makes contact with him, and there's a bit of a knock-on effect as well. Whiter's very fortunate not to pick up any damage there, but he's gonna get maybe the run on both of them again. Out now, and absolutely parting of the Red Sea from Whiter to the inside line, gets the job done. He's through and he's into 3rd, and the medium certainly, I think, getting the job done rather than his skill. Whiter there through and he's into 3rd, Selly there in 4th, out there in 5th, and the medium certainly helping him along.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the mediums have a much better advantage now. Obviously, we saw at the start of the race, I think was it Jeroen that was struggling on them, or Joe Bream, I think it was, that couldn't quite get the move done. But now, the hards obviously are a lot older. The interesting thing here is, do both sets need to pit? As Selly's going in now, he's pitting on those hards, he's had enough of them. He's going to try to take the mediums to the end, so is Campbell. The question, I think, is, do the mediums have to pit? My racing knowledge isn't that good, so I have no idea.
Medium compounder tyres, I've seen even drivers in divisions below an F1 division get 12, 13 laps on a set of mediums. These guys, normally 15, 16 laps, and 19 laps it would be for at least the top guys. Certainly would be 20 laps, I think, on that compounder tyre. So it is going to be really difficult, I think, for those mediums to get. But then again, you've got Darry and Alex the G on a set of mediums. They potentially could get the move. They potentially could come into this race a little bit sooner. They're not too far off Slash either. Slash is definitely going to get to the end. I'm pretty certain of that. But it's whether or not the mediums and behind can get to the end of the race remains to be seen, as J. Cole also coming in the pit lane there as well. Giorno leads the way right to there in second, out there in third. It was a characteristic picks up there from Campbell. He, though, was luckily 2 seconds ahead of Selly, as Darry now gets past on Gary. Darry and Gary down into turn number 9, and Darry soon he's into 8th.
Yeah, and I thought Montana was joking. Obviously, probably not for the win, but he was saying Slash is going to win the race. I think he's very much on for a podium, because he's only on 6 lap-old hards. If these medium runners have to pit, well, the two choices are they pit or they puncture. Because if they have to make it to the end otherwise, so there's at least a few positions in the mix here for Slash if he just kind of hangs it out.
Yeah, up into the pit lane as well, coming in towards turn 16 there, so he is in to the pit lane as now the sunset really begins to take effect over the Yas Marina circuit. Out there into the pit lane, Campbell already through the final corner. This is what we mentioned about undercut being potent, as Yilbrim I think has had a moment coming there out of 15, and I think he might be coming back in the pit lane potentially. But look at Alp. Alp is miles behind compared to Selly and Campbell. It's already, what, 3 seconds, I think, coming out the pit lane. That is extraordinary. The undercut is so potent around here in Abu Dhabi. Campbell there in 10, Selly there in 9, and Alp is 4.5 seconds going to be down into turn number 5 behind Selly. That is very, very rare to see. A big as undercut as that. And in the end, Alp...
cold tyres.
Yeah, those cold tyres as well. It's just going to increase. It's going to be more like 5 seconds. And Verstappen and Rick are now not out of this battle either.
No, and I think we did notice, didn't we? Alp's pace from qualifying. Obviously, we mentioned that toe that he got, which probably gained him, but in hindsight, about 4 or 5 positions in qualifying. It was that close. We did notice in the race he's probably going to not have as big of a chokehold on everyone. And I think it's fair to say this race, for the most part, Campbell has been consistently the faster driver. Probably the fastest driver on the grid at the moment. So, as it stands, he probably deserves to be where he's at. He's just got to hope for things further up the field to go his way. I don't know if you're Lewis now, if you're Campbell, are you wanting a safety car? Or do you just want to risk these people having to pit or puncture their tyres?
Personally, if I was in Campbell's shoes, I'd want a safety car. Because I don't think he's going to be getting anywhere near towards the top end of the field. So he needs, ideally, a safety car to come from one of these guys in front. Rocco had a moment there coming in at turn number 3. I thought it could have been him for a second. But he's still fine. He's there in full position, doing a good job. And he has saved up that ERS to maybe launch an attack here on Izzat down in towards the left-hander of 6 and then through the chicane of 7. But Killer now closing on the back of Rocco as well. Could potentially lunge it to the inside line. But in the end, not going to be enticed by that battle as Yilbrim has retired out of the pit lane. Is that Campbell saving grace? Not at the minute. There's no safety car just yet. Is there going to be a safety car though? That is through the same part of the track where we've seen a safety car already this race. So potentially, we could not see a safety car. And I think nobody's coming around. And it's back to green flag racing. So Campbell is shaking his head at this stage and thinking, why was that not a safety car? Because that was coming out of 14. And if that was Michael Massey and Latifi, as Darius spun coming out of turn number 9, if that was the Latifi moment in 2021, there would have been a safety car there.
Yeah, Latifi obviously finding a big chunk of cash under his bed, I think, after that night. I don't think that'll be happening over here. But Campbell gets the position on Darry now, as Darry had that spin. So, obviously, I don't think it's a net position gain, but Campbell up into P9. It could well be a net position. We don't know how these meetings are going to last. But currently, P9... not really anywhere else for him to go now, unless a safety car does come out. But like we said, we have no idea what these meetings are going to be like. I think people will make it over puncture territory. I do think they're going to go over 75%. What matters is how many people are going to get lucky.
How many people will get lucky indeed, as at this moment in time, Campbell is taking chunks of time out of the field in front. 8 tenths, 9 tenths of a second, I think, the last lap around, and even gaining 3, 4 tenths of a second already on this lap. So Campbell is absolutely flying. Selly is also flying on the back of Darry to the outside line down the straight and gets the job done. So Selly through, and he's into 10, and he needs to try and track Campbell into the race. Campbell, though, was very low on ERS. He's only got 3% of ERS at this stage. Selly's got 5%. They're draining the battery at what cost? Are they draining the battery enough for them to get back into contention? Campbell, certainly, the tyres are carrying him there. Those tyres, if he is lucky with the tyres and they don't go off around 8 or 9 laps into their stint, Campbell's going to be on the back of these guys in about 4 laps.
Yeah, he's driving the wheels off that thing. He's pacing very, very fast. This is a really, no matter where he finishes, this has been a very, very impressive race by Campbell. But obviously, he won't care how impressive it is if he walks away with not the points that he believes he deserves. Up front, though, this group of drivers, not the drivers you want to come across if you do reach the pack, because you're not in for an easy ride to get through these. There's a big chunk in the middle, and we've got another yellow flag. But Darry's out.
10:15, safety car.
Oh, it's a safety car.
Safety car out on track.
Oh, no.
And that is not good for anybody who's came past the pit lane, and that's for pretty much the whole field once again. There's only, I think, three drivers coming in the pit lane. Verstappen, Rick, and J. Cole are all going to come in the pit lane. Everyone else, of course, will have that advantage still. So they are going to be spaced out. They are probably going to be in the same positions as they are. But if you're the like of Rocco and Slash, do you double stack and then lose position? Slash potentially could have been on to win this race. In the end, though, drivers are going to be choosing what strategy to go on, and some of these guys might have already used up a set of mediums in this race. So if they have, they're going to have to go on a set of hards to the end of the race, or on a set of softs, and just hope that they last. And I guarantee you, if anybody does go on a set of softs, I don't think they're going to last to the end.
I don't know, because we've got a safety car. We won't be probably getting going until lap 23, 24. So they can nurse them until then. I feel bad for Lewis here, because in hindsight, this is the best scenario for him in case of a safety car. But he is still going to be on the older tyres. So no matter what, he's still got a tougher challenge as to probably what he should have.
Do you think he'll stay out as well? Sally Alp, I'm guaranteed they'll be banking on staying out. Neurona's into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Wouter also into the pit lane. I'm just going to follow everyone through. Is that staying out?
I knew he would. I think it's that good. This is
Slash.
Right, so he's going to nurse these tyres more.
Slash and Alex the G also stay out as well. Gary into the pit lane. Campbell is staying out. So Campbell definitely staying out. And I think he would have been banking on more drivers in front coming out. And do you know what? This is going to be a couple of positions gained for Campbell. He's going to be side by side, I think, with Wouter coming out the pit lane here. And he is, and in fact, actually, there's Jeroen on the inside line, coming out the pit lane, and Jeroen is ahead, coming out the pit lane. That is absolutely perfect for the Ferraris. Could be a Ferrari 1-2. Wouter there on 5-lap pressure tyres to Campbell, though. What are we going to see?
This is really, really interesting, because Jeroen, we saw what happened earlier. Obviously, we don't want to go into, what will happen with stewards, but if we're being honest, I don't see a way where Jeroen doesn't get punished for that. So currently right now, Lewis will probably know that. I'm sure he's been told. If he doesn't, that's unfortunate. These front three ahead are going to be slow. Lewis is still on for the win. Lewis Campbell's still on for the win here. The issue is, Wouter is no slow driver, and he's on 5-lap fresher mediums. I think Campbell's going to really struggle to actually maintain first, or maybe even second this race.
And as well, obviously I think he'll get the ERS back. He's got 25% less ERS than Jeroen. So if this was safety car getting back underway this lap, which it isn't because obviously we've only had one lap under the safety car. If it was this lap though, Campbell would be in a real deep pit of trouble, I think, because Jeroen there, 83%, has got 30% more than Campbell. Campbell there and Wouter there and 71% isn't too bad either. But Campbell has really missed the opportunity here. Of course, it's going to be 100% ERS when they, of course, recharge their batteries under the safety car. But, as I say, if it was this lap that the safety car was coming in, Campbell would be in a whole heap of trouble. But Izat leads the way. Slash in second, Alex the G in third. Them are the three that have stayed out. In fact, Izat is in. I thought it was into the pit lane. That was cheek. Pure and utter cheek from the Singaporean. I don't know who he thinks he is. Absolutely juked me. I thought he was coming in the pit lane for about 99% of that. The 1%, though, he decides to pull out and in the end maintains the race lead. And I was about to say there, if he came into the pit lane, that would have just been absolutely foolish from him.
Yeah, to be honest, I think we're about to see an absolute hounding on Slash. The poor soul, he's raced so well. Without that safety car, he was probably looking at a really good finishing position. He will really be hoping for chaos to happen behind him. I guess the only benefit is here, we've got Izat at the front, who is prone to carnage. Slash is on those hards. Alex the G is in a very unusual situation where he's finding himself racing at the front of the grid in Division 1. In a division he probably didn't even think he'd be in this season. And then he's got two of the fastest people in the whole lobby behind him, so I think we're about to see quite a bit of chaos here. There's a quite a big change in pace within these front five.
Yeah, definitely so. Jav, by the way, asking the most important question of the night. Am I going to watch Benidorm Fest? Yes, I am going to watch Benidorm Fest. And if you're wondering what that is, it's the Spain Eurovision National Final that is happening tonight. So we might be having a potential watch-along. Verstappen's too busy on commentary, however, so we can't get him in, unfortunately. But is that the... Now, the virtual Vermaelander, he's now the virtual safety car once again, slashed there in second. He looks like, I think he could be in the best position out on track. Alex is there in third. We know how good he's been on his tyres so far in Division 2 this season, certainly with a race win to his name. He's there in third. He could perhaps try and shake up as Jeroen got very close to the back of the German there. Almost too close. There could have been contact there from the Ferrari. But Jeroen, there in fourth, playing with fire, and Izzat, when is he going to decide to go? Surely exit turn 15, I think.
Yeah, James, we're going to quickly on out. Who wins this race? I'm actually going to go for Wouter.
You're going to go Wouter? I'll go for Slash.
Slash? On the hards? Right, okay.
Yep. He's got fresher tyres than Izzat at this stage, and Izzat will probably hold these guys up. However, Izzat has got a fantastic restart. 8/10 of a second already.
Oh,
From Slash there in second, and Jeroen is already through an Alex of the G. That was before, I think, the start-finish line. Might have to give that one up.
Close.
If not, it's by the stewards. It was certainly very close. The hoardings on the top of the track certainly misjudged my view at that. Campbell, though, already on the back of Alex of the G, and Alex's tyres are absolutely shot. They're blistering like anything already. Here comes Jeroen on the outside line of Slash. All the way around the outside, and Slash is spun. Slash has spun. Nearly comes into the back there of Campbell. Campbell now through and into third. Wouter there in fourth. Rocco there in fifth. Jeroen needs wing mirrors. Honestly, caravan-like wing mirrors, I think, to honestly see where he was on the inside line. Because Slash there wasn't. Alex G going side by side with Rocco towards the inside. Turn number 6 and 7. Formerly 8 and 9. And Izzat leads the way, but Jeroen now in second, and Jeroen right on the back of the Singaporean. Is he going to lunge for the move? The FEO man on the back of a relentless man. May looks to the inside on at turn number 9, thinks about going around all the way around the outside. This will be phenomenal if he can pull this off. Jeroen, in the end, bit of contact, gets the job done. I think he would have got the job done anyways. Izzat, I think, got caught on the bump on the inside.
And
He's
Selly,
certainly letting through Campbell and Wouter. That is interesting. And Selly's just gone down the inside of Killer for 6th.
Yeah, Selly was going for the exact same move around the outside. It didn't quite work out. Izzat really struggling. And I think now Campbell is really just racing Wouter.
Izzat has a huge moment coming through turn 15. Rocco nearly got collected by that as well. Holy moly, that was close to contact. Izzat there in 14. I do not know how he has recovered that out the race. Rocco there in 4th. How is he still in that race, though? I do not know. That was very fortunate from Rocco's perspective, because he could have been easily collected. There could have easily been another safety car. And in the end, Rocco there in 4th is still in this race. Is out there with that spin. Down in 14. Unfortunate as Alp is making the moves as well on Jacob. But Jeroen leads Campbell in 2nd, Wouter in 3rd. Is that, though? How on earth he recovered that? I do not know. That was ultimate cold brown right there.
Yeah, and Rocco getting very lucky with the escape. And with so, finds himself trying to hold off a Selly for pretty much a podium in this race right now. I think Campbell will be thinking his main priority is Wouter. I don't think he'll be too worried about Jeroen. I think he knows probably what's coming. So he needs to really worry about keeping a 5-lap fresher tyre Wouter behind. But we have seen just how fast Campbell has been tonight. I think those 5 laps won't be enough to hold off his pace. He just seems so fast at the moment.
Potentially, people were saying, is that puncture? No, he doesn't have a puncture. I think that was just purely a caught on the bump out of turn 15, which I know there is one there, so is that there getting caught completely off and on the outside curb and then spun. Jeroen though leading the way. Campbell there in 2nd, lap 26 out of 29 beginning. There was a slight wide moment, I think, on the camera shot there from Alex the G, and now Alp is right on the back of him in towards turn number 1. There's a yellow flag, and that's Izzat that is round. Coming out of turn 15, is that a puncture now for Izzat? No, he has spun again coming out of turn 15. He's coming into the pit lane. I think if I was him, I'd retire the car. Certainly. He's there in 14, and Alex the G has just spun coming out of turn number 3, and he's just nearly collected the whole field there.
Yeah, and what we've seen is every person that decided to stay out on the old tyres has paid the price, lost the grip, and found themselves at the back or DNF'd. So, not the right decision in the end to hold out on the tyres.
to the inside line, and Rocco gets the job done. There's also, I think, a position swap. Killer and Gary, I think, swap positions. Rick and Slash have also swapped position further down the field, but Sally there into fourth. Wouter now hunting down Campbell. He just simply does not have the pace and does not have the ERS at this stage to live with Jeroen. Jeroen there leading the way. Campbell in second, Wouter in third. But then on the flip side, Nolan, we could potentially see Campbell, who is in a championship fight. Jeroen has not picked up any points this season. Could we see the ultimate strategy call for Campbell to possibly take the race win and therefore take the championship lead?
Well, I think calling a spade, I know like you don't want, like we don't do it that way. I feel like calling a spade of just how bad that issue was with Jeroen. I think Campbell will think he's got the win. I think some incidents you go, well, I don't know, we'll go for it anyway. But I think the way Jeroen sent that, the reports, I think he might just believe he's got the win. I'm surprised Jeroen is actually... I mean, they're not teammates, are they? I think is he a reserve, or is he actually the teammate? I think he's a reserve.
Ooh. Alex G, by the way, has just lost his front wing. Not sure if that's going to be anything. I think it's green flag racing. He is in the pit lane safely. But yeah, Jeroen, I think, is, if I'm not mistaken, a reserve. Yeah, looking at the standings on the right-hand side of me, he is a reserve. So Jeroen will be getting the points for Ferrari, will be getting the points for himself as well. But...
I think it's Wouter he needs to worry about.
Yeah, Wouter... They're in third. He's got low ERS though. He's got 13% of ERS. Selly, I think, is the one to watch out for in this race now. The Austrian, 13. He hasn't got the pace down the straights, but through the corners he is brilliant. For it.
He's using everything. He's not quite getting close enough. I think at the moment, this all depends on whether Jeroen keeps Campbell in his DRS. Because I think if he drops Campbell, I think Wouter could get him here on the fresher tyres. And I think it's between Campbell and Wouter right now, racing for the win.
Jav, right, by the way, in the comment section, yeah, it is Nathan who was, or who is full-time driver, not appearing tonight, obviously, and that's why Jeroen is in the car as the reserve, the first reserve, I think, that got chosen, of course, in the reserve order, so he had priority on that car, but Jeroen leads the way onto the final 2 laps of this race in what has been a real hectic Abu Dhabi. We talked about breeding safety cars a little bit earlier on. That does sound wrong, by the way. I've just said that. But Jeroen leads the way. Campbell in second. Wouter there in third. Slash is spun. Coming out the final couple of corners. I think he might go fastest lap attempt potentially. On just a soft.
Campbell's... He's gone very wide. Campbell's gone all the way over the inside. I'm surprised it didn't give him a penalty for that. I've seen it given. He almost lost it. He cut half of the track pretty much just to remain on the track. He's got a really bad exit. Wouter's going to go for this potentially for the race lead.
Look at Sally!
And Sally's going to go. It's going to be 3 wide for potentially the race win.
Past the Red Sea, through the middle of them both, and Sally gets second. In towards turn number 5, 6 and 7. Wouter nearly makes contact with him, gets forced up on the inside curb. Jeroen now leads the way. He's made a mistake on the outside curb coming out of 8. Sally now into second. I did say Sally was the one to watch out for. I didn't really mean it, but there, he's in second. Wouter there in third. Campbell there in fourth. And Rocco has got into this battle as well. And is Rocco on for his first potential podium as there's 3 wide in the background as Rick tries to go all the way around the outside of Verstappen. This will be insane if he can pull this off. Come on, Rick. He does. Rick Fooney's into 9th. That is absolutely outrageous. Great driving from all 3 of them. Rick, though, around the outside of them both. That is absolutely incredible. Scenes here in Abu Dhabi. Best move of the season. If that's not overtaking the season, I'm going to my grave early. Brilliant stuff from Rick. He's Fooney's into 9th. That was absolutely outrageous from him.
Yeah, and it's a penalty from Campbell. Sorry to take the potential away from there from Rick, but that 3 seconds from Campbell could take his race down in 1 lap from a potential race win to maybe 5th, 6th place.
What have I just witnessed? Rick around the outside of Verstappen. In the end, I think he's going to lose a position, to be fair to Verstappen, on the tyres, on the tyre basis, and in the ERS, as I think Alex the G, or is that is spun, coming to the left hand of 13-14. Jeroen leads the way. Sally in second. Sally is getting closer to Jeroen. Is Jeroen potentially saving his tyres here, or is he low on fuel? Neither. But Sally is there, 4 tenths away. Is he quick enough down the straight to challenge for the race lead? This is not over and done with yet here in Abu Dhabi. Sally is closing in. He's going to have to risk this to the entire turn number 9.
God.
And there's contact, and that was absolutely ridiculous. Wouter in, there's contact. Campbell off in the wall as well. And Jeroen somehow escapes that. Absolutely unscathed.
Rocco might get the win. Wouter's got damage.
Wouter's got damage. Rocco might get the win for Jeroen. Jeroen, though, is pulling away. It's 2.8 seconds. This is unbelievable.
Rocco's got the win.
Rocco's into second.
Oh,
Rocco's in the wall. You've rolled through the final couple of corners, though. This could be his race win after all. Takes the race win. Wouter with no front wing. Gary to the line. Might just get second. He doesn't. Wouter there in second. Alp is third. Rocco in fourth. In the maddest final lap I think I've ever seen. Rocco in the end. And Campbell, I think, have both left with no front wings. Wouter with no front wings as well. That was pure and utter hell in the final lap of the race. That's the best way I can describe it. Jeroen, though, Selly, it all spawned from Selly diving it to the inside line. What on earth was he thinking diving it from that side? There was no Ferrari-shaped gap to the inside line. That was, Mercedes-shaped gap to the inside line. That was just pure and utter ridiculousness from Selly. He knows better than that. I know better than that for sure. And anybody in that position, if he runs that race, and he shouldn't have attempted that at all, it's put Jeroen in a potentially race-running position now. It's put him out of the race, him out of the championship lead potentially as well, if Campbell, of course, gets the stewards' reports in. Jeroen wins from Wouter in second, Alp in third, and I cannot believe what I've just seen. Rocco and Gary, by the way, 0.005 of a second separating each other at the end, because I think Slash picked up the fastest lap.
Well, so, just for context, with Jeroen's issue in the race, we don't know what the penalty is going to be, because he's 4.5 seconds ahead now, so that could keep him the win now.
And remember as well, he had that 4 wide scenario with Matthias as well, which could be looked into.
Though, on that last lap, there were 6 people who could win that race at that point. Selly, I don't know, Selly mustn't have known that Jeroen's got into all them issues, because he wouldn't have gone for it, but Montana's in the chat, and so, like, I swear Montana Jeffs him, so he'd have been able to tell him. I'm really surprised he went for it. Rocco had the race win, obviously, Wouter got caught up in it. Rocco had the race win for 1.5 corners, before he just put it in the wall by himself.
Oh my god. I thought I had a good race last night in WR, but this is just absolutely level of insanity on the PlayStation. Jeroen, for now, with a slight bit of confidence, takes the race win. These are provisional, purely provisional results. And in the end, Wouter could still win the race. He finished in 10th on the grid up to second. How on earth he's finished second, I do not know. But Jeroen, for now, takes the race win. Wouter for now is in second, and Alp for now is in third. Rocco in the end, after that half spin out the final couple of corners, is fourth somehow, even though he dropped halfway down the field. Gary there in fifth. He's just the luckiest so-and-so alive at this stage. Rick there in sixth. Somehow stayed sixth ahead of Verstappen, and that was going to be the focus of the battles on the final lap of the race, but it wasn't. Rick there in sixth, Verstappen there in seventh, Killer there in eighth, J. Cole in ninth, Campbell in 10th. As I say, all purely provisional. Slash in 11th, is up there in 12th, Alex the G in 13th. He might scrape the fastest lap point as well. Sully, Darry, Yilbream, Jensen, Pease, Creeko and Matthias all out of the race at various stages. Jeroen, though, takes the race win for now. Wouter there in second. My.
I can't believe. So, Selly had the race win on stewards' reports. Went for a move because he wanted to win it on track. A very silly move. Killed the guy that we now might win the race. Wouter went through because of that incident. Was about to take first, but Selly's car didn't go, so that took off his wing. Rocco then overtook him with 2 corners to go to get the win, but binned it himself for Wouter to then get the position back and now might win the race. Well, and Gary might get a podium.
Gary could get a podium, yeah.
I don't understand what's gone on.
Neither do I, and do you know what? I think it's best that the stewards have a look into this race, and I don't think we could do any interviews.
And the craziest thing about that whole sentence is, on pace, 10th place Campbell deserved the win.
He did. He did.
So I don't understand.
But then again, final lap of the race, Sally was right there, and if he lunged that move to the inside line and it was clean, he would have got the race win. I know for a fine fact he would have. But honestly, absolutely speechless. Insanity. I don't know what to describe that race as. That might be race of the season for numerous different reasons. Rick's move was absolutely insane, which is going to be a huge talking point. And I'm not often this quiet, but I'm absolutely speechless as to what I've just witnessed.
That might be one of the craziest endings to an LE race I've seen.
In 8 seasons of me doing this, and in 9 seasons of LOE, it's certainly the maddest race ending I've ever seen. Oh my god. Do you want to try and get the top 3 in, even though they might not be the top 3, or shall we just leave it?
Honestly, I don't know. I know I need to rush to the toilet. I've got a race in 10 minutes, but we can do quick interviews if you want. I don't know who the top 3 will be.
No, neither do I, and that's why I'm thinking there shouldn't be any interviews, because we don't know who's going to be top 3. Oh god. Alp also asking if there's any interviews. Do you want to do quick interviews?
We can do.
We can do. Right, do you know what? I'm going to quickly go blue screen. I'll just get this done very quickly indeed. Who was the top 3 again? It was Wouter, Jeroen, and somebody else, wasn't it? Alp. Was it Alp? Alp, Wouter, Jeroen. Right, let's get them in. Sorry, I'm just having to do this manually because there's no other quicker way of me doing this. Wouter and Alp. That is who I need in. I need his PSN. There we are. I've got it. Oh no, he's actually just there at the top. Fantastic. Right. Top 3 for now have been invited into the party. I don't know what their reactions are going to be. I don't know how they're going to make of that race, but we're going to find out, and it's going to be very fascinating to see what reactions might be from that race. And in the end, Jeroen, if it was only 3-4 tenths more, he perhaps could have won that race if he's got the 5-second penalty overhanging him, and potentially more penalties overhanging him as well. But in this stage, he's currently the race winner for now.
Yeah, and Lewis was in there before he made that mistake.
Yeah, Lewis was in there before that made the mistake and ended up, what, P10 I think it was, further down the field. Absolutely unbelievable, but we now can speak to the man, of course, who finished, for now, we think, in P1. It is Mr. FER Jeroen, and Jeroen, in the end, what a crazy ending to that race. You were in the fair share of it, with Sally diving it to the inside. What did you make of that first and foremost?
You mean of Sally's overtake? Or attempt?
Or attempted overtake, or attempted suicide,
no,
I think.
I saw him coming and I knew it was on low wings, but yeah, that was. I don't really know what he tried, because like he maybe could have made the move, but he just didn't turn and he almost spun me, so wasn't really happy with that. But yeah, that was not a really good move, I think.
Definitely not, because you gave him your fair share of room, and I was on board with Sally's perspective, and you certainly gave him your fair share of room. And what I think has ended up is he's just locked up on the brakes, gone cascading into the side of you. He's then spun. You nearly got spun as a result of it as well. Recovered the car, and then somehow you've ended up 4.5 seconds out in front at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think in that corner it's not really like a dive corner, unless you're like actually side by side. So yeah, I think that's why he locked the brakes, because you're going high speed there, and you need to turn. Well, like trying to outbrake someone is not really working.
No, definitely not. And championship leaders should know better than that as well, especially if you want to try and set an example for every other division in League of Europe. I think certainly the driving standards here have not shown that, certainly from Sally's perspective, certainly from other people's perspectives as well. But in the end, you are the race winner for now. Talk us through it, because it was looking like for a good majority of that second half it could have potentially been a Ferrari 1-2.
Yeah, I think after start I had a decent start, gained like 2 positions, and then people flashed in front of me in the train when I was saving, like on 65%, and then with the save didn't pit, but that was just a free pit stop to the mediums, to the medium strategy, and then I was gonna go to the end, but yeah, with that extra safety car, I think yeah, made it a bit easier.
Yeah, definitely made it a bit easier indeed. Nolan, any questions?
Yeah, Jeroen, do you still believe you're the cleanest driver in Division 1?
Yeah, 100%.
So, if you were a steward, just curious, what do you reckon you'd give yourself at the end of that race?
I think only for the 4 wide moment, maybe a 3 second or 5 second. I don't know. I have to watch it back, but for the rest, there's nothing I did wrong, in my opinion.
No, well,
Yeah,
honest, I think
what do you
were
think
going to
then?
lose the win. I think you were going to lose the win. I think what happened in the last lap might have saved you, because 4.5 seconds I think it was at the end. I think because everyone decided to just not want the win, I think you actually might end up getting it, because I think you could get away with maybe a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, and it was a minor
win.
collision, but so at that moment on the first of the straight, I was with my wing like next to your, and he just wanted to get into the slipstream, and yeah, if I didn't back out of that, I think we would have crashed on the straight. And
I
then
don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think.
From our point of view, you sent it from very far back, and I think.
Oh no, I mean early on the straight, but then on the end of the straight, I need to watch it back first before I.
All right, thank God.
I say, but I don't think it was that bad.
Okay.
But I'm sorry for Jensen. I think it was Jensen on the outside. So I'll watch my footage and then I'll send it.
Yeah, it's certainly from our perspective, it was caught the full wide moment when a very wide camera shot. So you're gonna have plenty to look forward to, I think, as a result of that. Final question from us as well. Of course, next week I believe it is the ultimate jewel in the crown. Not talking about Singapore. It is, of course, Monaco. How do you think you're going to get on around there? Because it does take a lot of skill.
Yeah, I think I'll get COVID next Saturday, so I don't know. No, I don't know. It's certainly very difficult, and I'm not really good on the no assist there yet. So yeah, it will be difficult. I only did one race and got like the wing damage twice, so. Not really looking forward, but I'll see if I can race, and if I can race, then I'll see how I do.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, of course, how you get on with you being, of course, as a reserve driver. But congratulations on the win for now. Hopefully it might still be there by the end of the Stewards Report. And go and enjoy your evening. And we can now speak to the man who somehow has got himself in for P2 as well. If I think he's here, I'm just going to double check that he is, and he isn't. So unfortunately, we're going to speak to the man who finished in fortunately I should say, we're going to speak to the man who finished in P3 in that race, somehow with Alp. And Alp, first and foremost, apparently Campbell was giving you tutoring in terms of race starts. Was that true?
Say that again?
Was Campbell tutoring you in terms of race starts?
Yes, that is correct.
In the end, I think the tutoring didn't go according to plan, because you were, again, really slow off the start, and you lost 2 positions off the start.
Yeah, I did like a lot of practice onto it, and it seemed okay today, but like when the moment came, I just couldn't do it. I don't know. I mean, the first initial phase was fine, but in the second phase, I just struggled with them, and after that, just struggled with rear grip all the way up to turn 4, and Jensen made a move on me, so yeah, just usual.
Yeah, it's that whole position, it's that whole pressure situation, I think, certainly starting the race, the nerves get to you. I certainly have been there before, starting on pole position, and yes, before people ask, yes, I have started on pole position in a league race before, but talk us through that race from your perspective, because that was utter craziness.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have to say this is like one of my worst performances ever in terms of just raw pace. I was nowhere all the way. What I tried to do was I tried to run a really low wing setup, and it seemed to work when I was practicing earlier. But in the race, I just couldn't keep within the DRS for it to work, and I was really struggling with the braking. So yeah, then the safety cars just put me down the field, and I tried my best to keep it clean and somehow get a podium. I don't really know.
Yeah, P3 out of that race, I think, is certainly something that you were not expecting to happen, especially with what unfolded right in front of you on the final lap of the race. Nolan, any questions?
Yeah, I was actually going to say with Alp, we noticed obviously in qualifying, you were getting like 3/10 of a gap pretty much. Obviously you said you'd run low wings as well, but we saw you getting a tow from Matt. Did you know that your race pace wasn't as good as your quali pace? Did you hope to just rely on staying at the front? Because obviously we noticed in the race Campbell tended to have the gap on you most of the time. Was there a plan to still win the race, or was you happy just staying around the top 3?
Yeah, no. So when I was practicing with Campbell earlier, I could easily stick with him and like even stay ahead of him because I was running so much lower wings, and I thought it would go the same way in the race. But I think the difference maker was again the starts when I dropped behind P3 and Jensen was on mediums, so obviously he's going to be quicker, and I struggled to stay within the DRS and had to burn my battery. So it just didn't go to plan, and I think I need to focus more on comfort rather than raw pace, and I think that would work for me maybe in the future.
I mean, we say that. You're on the podium, and I think Lewis is in P10 as it stands, so it's worked out. Maybe not the way you expected it to work out, but it has worked out this week.
Yeah, somehow. I think I'm tied with the lead of the championship now, so that's crazy too. And yeah, just work on keeping this consistency, and maybe, hopefully, the wins will come as well soon.
If you'd have joined Relentless instead of QVR, mate, you'd have won, just so you know, but it is what it is.
No infighting between teams, that is for sure. And Alp, of course, final question from me. Monaco next week, it is a whole different test of skill and a whole different test of real greatness in terms of the jewel and the crown. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
Okay, I will say, historically, this is one of my weakest tracks, but I don't know, I think I can do something because especially with the wheel being such an advantage, so I'll have to practice and see what happens. I enjoy driving it, but I'm just not really fast in general.
Yeah, which is a shame, obviously, to hear that, and hopefully we'll be back near enough towards the podium, near enough towards the top end of the field once again next week. Go and enjoy your afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, and I guess I'll watch the stream, and thank you both for commentating.
You are very welcome indeed, and that rounds
Thanks
us
to
off.
both of you.
You are very welcome
thank you.
indeed. I can't even speak. That rounds us up very neatly indeed, of course, for LOE Division 1 tonight. A big thank you towards Mr. Nolan for joining me in the commentary box, of course, for tonight. Mark, of course, is going to be back as well for next week. I believe he's going to be back next week. Otherwise, he's probably just going to be potentially wasting his savings on poker once again next week, which I don't think is going to be bad. But Nolan, of course, next week is Monaco, Jewel and the Crown. How do you think the drivers will cope with that?
Better than me. That's the best. My best performance in Monaco has been getting lapped twice and somehow still getting 11 points from it. So no, I got 11th place, so 2 points from it. So that's, yeah. I don't think Monaco's going to be very fun. I think it's going to be very wheel heavy, and I'm pitting lap 1 onto the hard and driving around on my own. That's the plan.
Yeah. Well, hopefully so. Hopefully you are going to have a good race as well tonight in Division 2, which is up in 10 minutes' time. Of course, Mr. J. Cole and Mr. Killer are taking to the action, of course, as always, for Division 2. And then Division 4, it is Verstappen, joined this week by Mr. QVR Chill. The QVR team, once again, filling in for Division 4. Packer unavailable, so Chill is in as co-coms tonight for Division 4. You can have all the left to enjoy. I'm going to go and watch Benidorm Fest. Thank you so much for watching here for Abu Dhabi for Division 1. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week in Monaco, the Jewel of the Crown, goodbye.